It's time for That's BS.
That's some bullshit.
Bullshit! He's a liar. He's lying to us, man.
I don't believe you.
That's BS.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
That's okay. I'm also allergic to BS. Welcome back to the Sports Blast 1460
W after this week.
WXBR. We have a laundry list right here. How many bullet points is that? Like 7 of items that we have to get to here on That's BS, starting with the fact that Terry Francona, former Red Sox manager, beats out John Farrell for AL Manager of the Year. Guys, BS or not BS?
Well, I go.
What was that?
Did that just happen?
It sounded like we
Are we there now?
just got cut off entirely there.
All right, go ahead.
The show is over now. I don't know. I don't feel that sorely about it. Terry Francona did well with the Cleveland Indians this year. And if you look at last season for both teams, obviously the Red Sox had their worst record since 1965. They went 69 and 93. But the Indians last year went 68 and 94. And really, when you look at it, was the Red Sox team last year really that bad? Should they have had that many wins last year? Or should they have had more? And then when you go back even further, back in 2011, we know what happened to the Red Sox, but 2011 for the Indians, they're 80 and 82. 2010, they're 69 and 93. 2009, 65 and 97. 2008, they're 81 and 81. This team never goes above 500. They haven't even been at 500 since 2008. And Francona didn't have the lineup that John Farrell had either. I know that it was still going from worst to first, but in my opinion, Farrell didn't have as many lineup issues as Francona had to deal with throughout the season, and the fact that they came back late in the year and went through that stretch, it should have been close, and it was close, and the fact that Francona got it doesn't upset me that much.
Not BS.
I say no BS.
All right. I think that John Farrell should have won AL Manager of the Year simply because you look at what happened in 2012, just like you talked about, Dave. He didn't, I don't want to say he single-handedly changed the culture because he had help from guys like Shane Victorino, Johnny Gomes, Ryan Dempster, a lot of these character guys that came in and sort of changed the whole culture in the clubhouse. But when you're going from a 69-win season to almost, they had won 97 games the very next year, but this is stuff that happens before the postseason. I was gonna say, they won the World Series, but that's irrelevant. Right. It happens before the end of the regular season. But when you take that into account, nothing against Terry Francona, he did a great job with the Cleveland Indians. But based on what we saw, this turnaround with John Farrell, the instant climate change in that toxic clubhouse when he arrived, I think that in itself, more than the managerial decisions, was enough to give him American League Manager of the Year.
Yeah, I really think that Terry Francona actually had a lack of talent to play with more than the Red Sox. The Red Sox really had, built players that been there before, and Terry Francona's club was really just a young team to embrace the moment of the MLB. And it was just a really like a complete team. We talk about the Red Sox, how complete they were. The Indians were just as complete.
508-588-9927. We have Tyler from Rhode Island. Tyler, what's up?
Hey, guys. Just wanted to call. Great show.
Thanks.
I want to call to see what you guys thought about how the Pats' terrible offensive line right now is going to hold off the pass rush of the Panthers, who are looking ridiculous right now.
I'll admit I'm worried. The offensive line for the Patriots has been awful over the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Tyler's hit it right on the...
and
Brady's
the
been
Panthers,
hitting the ground a lot.
The Panthers' defense is absolutely no joke. They are the real deal.
Keegley.
Yeah, I would expect...
Yeah.
I mean, if we set the over-under on Brady getting sacked this weekend, or rather
6.
next Monday against the Panthers, we should put
that.
I'd set it at 5, but I would say, yeah.
And don't sleep on Charles Johnson. He's a defensive end.
Oh my gosh, he's going to go off.
Yeah, he can get after the quarterback, and Luke Kuechly, he doesn't get interceptions. He just knows how to tackle. And as a linebacker, he has 3 interceptions on the year, but I think what he does best is open field tackles. And I really think Tom Brady's going to have a trouble in the pocket with Kuechly and Johnson.
It's going to be a physical game. It's definitely going to be a physical game.
The Panthers are 5th in the league in sacks per pass play at 8.7.
Oh.
So, and not to mention the rest of their defensive stats are ridiculous. They're 2nd in total yards per game, 2nd in rushing yards per game, 9th in rushing yards per attempt. and second in points per game. They only allowed 12.8 points per game. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough one for the Pats offense.
2017 Panthers. That's my prediction.
Okay. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Pats drop this one, and we'll get more into that. But yeah, no, next
Cam
Monday,
Newton rushes for 2 touchdowns, but
that's right, your boy Cam Newton, Brian.
Save it, Brian, save it.
All right, so getting back to That's BS, thanks for the call, Tyler. Another thing that we have here on That's BS, another bullet point, is Mike Tirico actually had a little bit of a gaffe of his own during the Monday night broadcast. He actually called a penalty as a commentary. He said a penalty on Richie Incognito, and he wasn't even playing. I think we have the sound. Let's go ahead and roll that, Brian.
After the play foul, and it looks like it's on Incognito for 15 yards. Here's Jeff Triplett.
After the play is over, personal foul.
You can actually hear him at the end going, actually, pouncy.
Yeah.
Like, correct.
Pouncy.
I don't understand how you made
Like, whoops.
after everything that has happened. I can understand if Incognito gets suspended for something stupid and small that doesn't get blown up by the media for 2 weeks. I mean, we've been talking about this guy nonstop. How do you make that mistake?
That's the problem. He had Incognito on the mind, obviously. I mean, 15 yards, Incognito, for everything that he's done the past week.
And you know what's even funnier is, Incognito and Martin have a great relationship, but so do Pouncy and Incognito. So I think he might have tested the waters with Incognito.
Oh boy,
that was too funny. That has to
that
be
was
BS.
hilarious.
That is BS.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you cannot make that mistake after everything has happened. That's the stupidest thing
mistake.
I remember.
I was waiting for John
Gruden.
Gruden to step up and say something. I mean, Richie Incognito's not even on the field.
And Mike Tirico's not the one that usually says stupid
Settle
stuff.
down, Mark. Settle down.
No, honestly, the guy next to him, that's something where you got to go, oh, no, you're wrong. A completely 100% incorrect Incognito, not playing today.
Yeah.
And fans who are watching, please know we did not just call the penalty on Incognito. Big mistake.
Yeah, no, that was.
I don't even know why he said that.
They just kind of shrugged
was he
it
just
off.
thinking
Incognito
about it?
on the mind.
I don't know why that's possible.
All right.
Such a big story, man.
Moving on here, guys. This one I think might be my favorite item. The Celtics actually winning. BS or not BS. Before we get to that, I want to read a quote that Danny Ainge actually had. I believe it was a USA Today report. Here's the quote. They, meaning the fans, are not paying attention. They're not watching all the games. They're not watching all the exhibition games, and they're not at practice. That certainly is not the case, tanking. Anybody that's informed that sees what goes on day to day would not make those conclusions. Guys, I'm just going to jump in here. That is total BS. You are trying to tank. That is the objective. We saw Jabari Parker and Andrew Wiggins and all these guys yesterday. Don't you want to snag one of those guys? That is absolutely the objective. This is total BS.
When did he say this? After they lost 4 straight, or was this a more recent comment?
I just saw this a couple days ago, so I'm assuming this was when they started their winning streak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was actually in the beginning of the season.
Was it?
Yeah, it was
How did I
actually
see
with the predictions. They were asking Danny Ainge, what do you have in stored? And I feel like that's what his answer was. But my thing is, the way you tank is draft picks, trades, and you're not going to tank with this team. You're not going. The only way you tank with this team, like I said, is injuries or a trade happens.
Well, I mean, look, see, the only way that I can justify Danny Ainge's actions or opinion or feelings that they should
lose
not
on purpose. That's my point.
No, you
they
you can if
can.
you're the
They
GM.
can.
The coach can't. The players can't. You mentally, how can you? How can you show up every day and expect to lose? But what is your approach? If you're saying, okay, we are going to ignore this draft, which I think is a big bleeping mistake. If we're going to do that, then you know what? Say we're going to rebuild via free agency and via trades. Isn't that what happened in 2007 when they brought in Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen and all these guys? Fine, but the free agent market next year at least is not great. I mean, it's the one following next year where LeBron James can opt out. Carmelo Anthony has an early termination. Kevin Love is on the market.
LeBron James is not coming to Boston.
No, I'm just saying though, when you look at the climate of free agency next year, it's
He's
not
going back
fantastic.
to Cleveland.
It's not fantastic. That's what
Kyrie
a lot of people
Irving.
are saying. That's what a lot of people are saying. So, if you're going to do that, then let me ask you this, Mark, and we'll get into this more as we have future shows that go over through the regular season. What do you accomplish by making the playoffs? If this team somehow squeaks in through the 7th or 8th seed, you're going to have a first-round draw with either Miami or Indiana or even Chicago possibly.
You don't understand who they're competing against. They're competing against lesser talent than what they have on the team.
They're actually currently losing to the Bobcats, so that you know.
That's fine.
And
again,
things go
small
game to
sample
game.
size.
That's what we
very
talked about.
small
We
sample
said
size.
your championship is when you face Oklahoma City, when you face Miami, when you face Chicago. Those are your big time games that you want to show up for. When you play the Bobcats, Bobcats or Orlando, just be like, you know what, I don't care about this one so much. They are trying to tank. That is the objective.
Did they care the other night when they played the Magic and
I don't know why they won that game
by 22
that
points?
first, no, when they went to Amway, that was a very losable game. I don't know why they won that.
No, it was at home.
No, I'm not talking about the most recent one. I'm talking about that first game.
Well, they
against the
still
Magic.
played Orlando Magic, and they played probably their best game of the season.
So you support their trying to win. You support the Celtics going out there and trying
Their
to win.
best game was against the Heat.
It's just unrealistic to me because you have so much talent on this team. You cannot be bad with this much talent.
What?
Jeff Green's going to put up 22 to 25
Wait, Mark, what are you talking about? The talent on this team? There's have like 2 or 3 quality guys, and the rest are like junk. Like Chris Humphries, you expect him to do good?
Okay.
Jordan
Crawford?
Jordan Crawford, please.
Did you say something about Jordan Crawford? Wasn't he
Yeah,
like a scrub
no.
last year and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that?
He's only played like 3 years in the NBA. So.
And Xavier wasn't that good.
Okay.
Xavier University, you played for I forget what they're called, whatever.
Well, Mark, my question for you
Musketeers, right?
do you see that? Do you see these guys that are on the Celtics roster right now? Do you ever see this collective group of players winning a championship? Not just this season, but next season, or do you honestly see maybe they're trying to win right now to make the talent level on the team apparent so that you can package these players and get better guys?
That's what I'm trying to get at.
And I understand that notion, but either way, you're not keeping these guys for their talent level in order to win a championship. You're going to wind up with other players that are going to get you to the promised land.
They already have other picks too, so it's not like they could package
they have 7 picks between next year and 2019.
I just don't understand, how do you tank? How do you just miss shots on purpose?
I get your sentiment.
How do you not?
The time you get it.
Players, you can't.
And do you lose fans like that? Do you lose fans like that?
Exactly.
Because Celtics have been a winning franchise ever since they were made in the
in
NBA.
2006, I don't think they were. In the 90s, they weren't until they got Paul Pierce. Between that era of Larry Bird leaving and Paul Pierce
They're up there
in
the most titles list.
They
are,
don't they
but
have the most titles?
Yes, they do have the most
They're tied
titles.
with the Lakers.
No, Lakers are one behind.
It's a winning franchise,
right.
and obviously the fans...
Know your stuff, Aashish.
The fans will respond negatively if they start losing this season, but I also think that the fans will understand if they start losing this season. And if they do tank it, I don't think that Celtics fans are going to be upset.
Definition of tank, please.
I can't define tanking because tanking implies that it's being done on purpose, and I don't think that as any professional athlete, I think it's impossible to really go ahead and tank.
Oh, come on, you're really gonna go to the Black Sox scandal?
Yeah,
for your
that's tanking.
Weren't they bribed?
No, that's still tanking.
That's not the same.
No, that's a different thing. It's throwing games.
Yeah,
it's throwing games intentionally to get money.
Isn't that what tanking is?
No.
Well, it's a different concept though. Yes, it is tanking, but it's for a different reason.
Okay, and the other situation is Danny Ainge pulled a trade on purpose to get draft picks. For what reason?
To use them.
To use them. But how do you use them in trades or do you use them as draft picks?
Well, you can both. You can use it, but both. You can use them. Some of them in trades. Some of them use them as actual draft picks that you're planning on using. Maybe on draft night itself.
There's only like 2 or 3 quality guys that I would use a draft pick on. And
Mark, I'll give you
anything, I package drafts away.
Parker, or Wiggins.
Yeah, that's
and that's the other situation. If you tank, you receive the fifth pick in the draft. The 5th pick in the draft, and you get a subpar
so
player.
You're assuming that if they tank that they'll get someone.
I would trade that.
You would trade that
to get a player, yes.
But teams wouldn't really want that because there's no.
Not if you package it with also the 20th pick or something.
Okay, Mark, we have to move on to the next thing, but I just want to say that, hey, didn't the not the Denver Broncos, the Indianapolis Colts went 2-14 without Peyton Manning? They ended up with Andrew Luck. So think about that. Tanking to get better.
Their slogan was suck for luck, so.
Is Rondo coming back?
Rondo, well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, delay Rondo's return. Delay Rondo's return. That's how you can do it from the front office.
How are you going to trade Rondo?
Yeah, you have to showcase him.
No, I never said trade him. I said delay him.
No, you want to trade him. I know you. I know you, Aashish.
I love Rondo, but honestly, if I was getting something good in return, I would trade Rondo. All right, we got to move on to the next thing. What's this guy's name?
Simeon Varlamov.
Okay, go ahead, Dave. I know you like this story.
For those who don't know, this is a goaltender for the Colorado Avalanche. Semyon Varlamov is from Russia. He's the odds-on candidate to be the starting goaltender for the Russians in the Winter Olympics. He was arrested recently and charged with domestic abuse. He beat his girlfriend, and here's what he said to her. She quoted this. He said as he was beating her, "If this were Russia, I would have beat her more." And this is where, like, Russia. BS, Russia. You can't say this stuff. Here's something from a Soviet called Soviet Sport Daily. We advise Semyon to choose his partner in life more carefully. In the U.S., they're ready to blow up any bruise into a big case, especially if a famous person is involved. Next article says, the fans in Russia are supporting him, not her. They're glad he beat her up. Then another one says, and this is actually Fedor Tutin, who plays for the Columbus Blue Jackets, fellow Russian of Semyon Varlamov. He said, I personally know Semyon very well. He's quite a true, considerate guy. As soon as I heard it all, I realized that it was all blown out of proportion. It's just American laws are on women's sides. That's why they can't go to the police for any little thing, complain and bring a lot of problems to men. That's why the only mistake Semyon made is that he got together with this girl.
Man, what is with all this stuff
with
happening?
Russia?
And all of a sudden the support. First incognito, now this guy. It's like, I support
Honestly,
him. I know
what
he's
is
a good
up with
guy.
the negative things in the world being supported.
Russia's just weird.
Russia is a weird place, and now the Russian Olympics. I'm sorry, not the Russian Olympics. The Olympics. They're in Russia this year. And there's some other crazy stuff going on with that. But regardless, I don't understand Russia, so Russia, BS on this whole thing.
This is absolutely BS.
How do you back this guy up?
This is such BS. Like, how are you going to say that America's behind a woman's rights?
It's just American laws are on women's side.
After her getting beat up?
She got, and this wasn't the first time either. She said when they lived in Russia, that she was beaten. She said it happened multiple times when they were in the United States.
I wonder if she beat him up.
Maybe. But honestly,
probably.
This guy,
but now we're just speculating.
He's a professional athlete. He's a big dude, and this girl is a fragile Russian girl. If you've seen the picture, she's a skinny person. This is like a terrible thing that should be taken a lot more seriously, but Varlamov's still in the net for the Colorado Avalanche.
Yet again, it's in our That's BS segment.
All right,
that's
BS.
Russia.
All right, last item here on That's BS. This one is a really good one. Jerry Rice had some things to say about Calvin Johnson, Megatron of the Detroit Lions. Here's the quote. I think it's great they're still talking about me after my career's over. Johnson still has a ways to go. We're just going to let this guy continue to develop, and if he should break the majority of my records or break all of my records, I'll be the first one to congratulate him. But I know the sacrifice that you have to put in. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work via USA Today. Let this guy continue to develop. I'm pretty sure he's fully developed. I'm pretty sure he's a beast, Calvin Johnson. So I'm not really sure what Jerry Rice is trying to say
I
there.
still think Jerry Rice is better than Calvin Johnson, but...
Wasn't he 4 yards shy of the NFL record for the most receiving yards in a game?
I don't know if it was. Was it? Yeah, it was 4 yards. I believe,
yards,
something
close.
like that.
And it was Dickie Anderson.
Yeah, it wasn't Jerry Rice. Now, okay, here's my take on it. Who is the greatest receiver of all time? Of course, it's Jerry Rice. It's going to be Jerry Rice for a long time.
Oh yeah.
But here's the thing: to think that Calvin Johnson does not have a shot at catching Jerry Rice, now that
He didn't
is
say
not
that.
right.
He didn't say that.
Why was Jerry?
No, I think that's where he's going with that quote.
No. He
Well,
said
how
he
do you
would
interpret it?
congratulate him. He said he still has a way to go in his NFL
Of course
career.
he does. He's 7 years in. Jerry Rice played for 20 years.
Exactly.
And part of
That's
greatness,
what he was saying.
Yeah, no, and okay, fine. So I will agree with him then that part of greatness is longevity. You know, you have to have sustained excellence for at least 10 years before
He's had some injury problems in his recent years, though.
Calvin Johnson has?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has. But then whose side are you on it, Brian? Are you saying that Jerry Rice is going to be the guy that never gets passed as the greatest wide receiver of all time?
No, I didn't say that. Did I say that? Did those words come out of my mouth?
I can sense that that's what you're thinking.
Jerry Rice currly is the best receiver of all time.
Yes. Did he ever get hurt? Did he get hurt a lot?
What was the name of his quarterback?
Steve Young and Joe Montana.
Thank you. That's all I got to say. Two Hall of Famer
Yeah.
quarterbacks. They actually had somebody to throw the
Is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Fame quarterback?
Not right now. No. He's a good quarterback, but no, he's not a Hall of
So
Famer.
Calvin Johnson, I mean, he's making Matthew Stafford look like a masterpiece.
What if you put him with Peyton Manning? What if you put him with Tom Brady? Can you imagine what his stats would be?
Oh man, forget about it. They'd be through the roof.
Yeah.
Tom Brady can't throw that deep right now, but that's a different story.
I side with Brian on just interpreting the quote though. I don't think that there was too. I don't think that what Rice is saying is really sticking it to Johnson in any way. He does say it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of hard work. Maybe he's trying to, encourage him. I don't know. I didn't actually hear the quote, so I don't know how he said it.
I think he's basically, saying that he's a work in progress.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Rice doesn't want to see his.
He hasn't hit his prime yet.
He hasn't hit his prime yet.
If that's true, then that's scary. Then that means that he is destined to be
get,
the greatest ever.
Look, if
now,
he
here's
can get
the thing.
better. Then
There's AJ Green too, guys. You can't forget about
AJ
him.
Green is only in his third year.
Exactly.
So,
Look how good AJ Green is.
Yeah. So
there's so many good wide receivers, guys.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, and before we go to break, I just want to say that, when we were talking about Rob Gronkowski not too long ago, I'm talking about, 2 years ago, the general population was saying, oh, greatest tight end ever. Tight end is slightly different. For the first 30 years of that position's existence, you were primarily a blocker. Until Tony Gonzalez came along, until Antonio Gates came along, that wasn't a very sexy or glamorous position. Now it is. It's only been 20 years that the tight end has really been regarded as a position where you're basically a receiver. For the longest time, you were a blocker.
And a part of the statement, he does say, they're still talking about me.
Yeah.
That's
just, we're going to continue talking about
That's just swagger of an all-time receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? It's not selfish, but at the same time, it's part of the game.
All right, so not BS, you guys say.